Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. So let's talk about something. The Virginia Gubernatorial Race. See, because it's more than just about that. Now, what, of course, NBC News does is they always try to make it about race, especially the one in the middle, Joanne Reed. In her case, it is about race, because if you weren't a Black woman, you would probably not be on here. You're a subpar reporter. You don't usually report anything. You just come on and give your opinion. Guess what? There's thousands of YouTubers that do that every day. Anybody could take your job and actually give a real opinion. But I wanted to show something to you. I wanted to show this to you about how they try to frame everything about race. Then when people get sick of talking about race, they get mad. So with that, let's begin.
Sort of set out in September to understand where this president was. I heard sort of three analyses. I shared this with you guys in the break, that he lost independent voters and women around the pullout from Afghanistan. And I said at the time, I thought 95% of the public was for leaving, but it turns out.
It's how you left. It's how you left. You left 13 kids dead. There's still Americans trapped behind the lines in Afghanistan. I know. I just fielded a call from one of my old buddies. Not old, I mean, we talk all the time, asking me to sign up or to get on a flight to go over with them. It's like, no, it's like, I'm trying to start a new life here in Texas. I'm not going to do that. Wouldn't be fair to Tammy. So let's keep going.
A whole lot of the public did not like the way we left, and especially some of that softer part of the Biden coalition that came and voted for him in 2020, but was always going to be watching the news. They were always going to be sensitive voters. They were always going to be, and not, sticking their finger in there, but they were always going to be watching. They're going to be watching and seeing how he performed, seeing how the vaccines rolled out, or seeing what happened. I don't know that anyone predicted Afghanistan would weigh in with those voters, but according to people who poll sort of center-right to independence, that was really damaging for him. And Garrett pointing that out is the first time I've heard someone report it out from inside the Youngkin side. The other piece was this frustration about the lack of fire. Why not fight for voting rights? Why not give speeches about, there was one speech given. One speech about democracy. It was beautiful. It was in Philadelphia, but no one's touched it since. Yep. And what is happening in sort of Republican America, it's not just critical race theory. It's saying, fraud happened. The people believe there was fraud, so they're fixing it. So, right. So Republican voters think Republicans are fake. Never mind that it's fake. That's critical race theory isn't taught. It means something different to them.
Actually, the guy Youngkin just defeated sent out a personal memo to all schools in Virginia to teach critical race theory. Critical race theory is being taught to your schools. So here's, America's more integrated than ever. And here's what idiots like this, does she have false teeth? The way she talks is weird. How do I put this? It is being taught in schools. What they don't realize is America's more integrated than ever. So what happens if you have a mixed kid? Or your kid is made up of 3-4 different races? What are you going to teach them? But see, this is the only thing they have. Everything's not black and white. They can't run on policies, and I'll prove this point later on. Let's get it.
Voters, they think it is. So Republicans are fixing it. Youngkin's going to ban it. And some of it is just a question for Democrats now. Do you adjust to a terrain that is not fair, that is not just, that is all fact-based, but that at this tonight looks like it advantages Republicans?
Well, the way that you confront and defeat an opponent that has framed things in a way that is fake.
Critical race theory is being taught in schools. There's books on it. There are government contracts for it. The head of the DOJ's son-in-law runs one of those companies and is making millions from selling books and teaching critical race theory. It's not a fraud. It's not that it doesn't exist. It exists very much. So when you understand critical race theory, right, you have to understand critical theory too. So this whole trans thing is part of critical theory. Critical race theory is an offshoot of critical theory. So when your 14-year-old girl is being raped in the bathroom, the Loudoun County School Board, which is in Virginia, hides it, doesn't report it, covers it up. That's all part of critical theory. This is why people are not voting Democrat. Any parent with any sense would not vote Democrat at this point. I'm surprised it wasn't much more of a destruction of this idiot. Think about it. You come out, you tell parents they have no right to be involved in their kids' education. Really? Really? Sounds like Nazi shit. Let's continue before I get really pissed off.
Is that, yes, you can create your own competing fake framework and run on that, or you can accomplish real things and then run on that and say, yes, these guys have invented a boogeyman about a form of racial hierarchy that you've fantasized into existence that isn't actually taught in schools.
It is actually taught in schools. It's been proven. We have the memos, we have the books, we have the proof. It's right there. Stop saying it's not being taught in schools. You're a liar. You know you're lying. Everybody watching you knows you're lying. That's why you get such low ratings. God, ridiculous.
But look, you have a child tax credit and you have the biggest climate change legislation that's ever been passed in this country. And we have an infrastructure bill, and all of the terrible traffic problems in Virginia are going to get fixed because Republicans are talking about fantasy stuff and Democrats.
I hate Rachel Maddow. Let's continue.
Are talking about
Who has done that successfully ever, other than in a Sorkin movie? I mean, like, I've just never seen that campaign.
And I'm sorry. I mean, because I think the other alternative is that I think you hit on the word that I think is the most important. It's fight. It's that you not only have to fight for what you believe in, but you have to be seen to be fighting.
Yes.
And the problem is the only part of the Democratic Party right now that is visibly fighting for people, the base of the party that votes for them, because yes, independents are important, but you need your base. And the progressives in the House are the only ones who are showing fight. The Democrats in Texas that walked out and flew and went all the way out of town and flew to DC and were like, we're not going to be there. We're walking out of here. Fight. If you're
Well, by the way, should have went to jail. Let's stop this screen share. I can't do this anymore. This is a little too much for me. So you, of course, see what they're saying, right? Everything's about race. They have no policies to run on. Let's talk about the Democratic policies, please. The Democrat policy is boys who identify as girls should be able to destroy your girls in their athletic competitions and not have to compete with other boys. Might I remind you, one of the track guys who won the girls' championship, I forget which state it was, didn't even qualify to make the boys' team. He wasn't fast enough, but he's fast enough to become a girls' champion. Might we look at the Loudoun County School District, where 2 young women were raped behind the Loudoun County School Board trying to protect a young trans boy and say they had no incidences of rape. God knows how many more just haven't been discovered. Let's talk about the Democrat policy for a minute. Abolish the police. Not defund them. They've already defunded most of their police departments. Look at Austin. Austin's murder rate has jumped 88%. It's the highest murder rate in over 20 years. Put that in perspective. And now they want to abolish the police. Minnesota wanted to abolish the police. So you keep putting your leftist progressive points out there. Let's see how it works for you. I don't think Americans are stupid. Let's look at their policy. Hey, we're just going to leave Afghanistan like dumbass said right here, right? Now you just handed China the world's largest supply of lithium mines, while Joe Biden has declared that all federal vehicles will be electrical by, 2024, 2030, whatever it is. Let's look at leftist policy. Sexual assault, simple assault, assault and battery are now misdemeanors. Cops aren't allowed to arrest people for misdemeanors. Cashless bail, which means you don't have to put up anything when you're alleged to have committed a crime to get out to prove your innocence or be declared guilty. You don't have to do anything. You just walk on your own recognizances. Next day, you're out robbing, raping again. Think about that. Hey, you know what else is a good thing? Let's take away your Second Amendment rights. See, now they're going back and saying the British monarchy didn't allow Americans to have weapons, and so the Second Amendment is moot. You're going to get some static and some kickback. Don't you get it? And I hope you've listened to these idiots enough to where now, not only would you not vote Democrat, but you have enough firepower to send this video to your liberal friends. Maybe they'll come around, maybe when things get bad enough. Maybe when it's their mother, sister, or daughter that's raped in the street and there's nothing they can do about it because there's no cops, they've been disarmed, and there's no prisons, and criminals are running the street. That's what it's coming down to. I just wanted to put this out there and show you how they think, this is ridiculous, what's going on. But hey, I'm gonna keep you guys posted and updated. All I gotta say is like, subscribe, share, and especially in these days and times, do what you gotta do.